everybody. Orange Podcast Bad, episode 22 already. Paul, of course, is here with us. You can't have Orange Podcast Bad without Sean and Paul. So here we are. Hi, Paul. How you doing? Hope you had a
Good,
decent day.
brother. How about you, man? Yeah, just another great day in the great state of Texas. And we are loving the weather. It was really funny because MSN said temperatures to plummet. So I went out and clicked on it to see what their version of plummet was. And it was from 93 to 88. So we're having a cold spell here at 88. So
Right. North Carolina's no different. We're in a cold spell too, according to the mainstream media, the MSM. And it was 86 today here in the South in North Carolina. Yeah, cold spell. That's a cold spell. So listen, I'll take it, but I I have a prediction. I think within 5 years, weather babes will be irrelevant because people will just go to AI and ask, what's my weather actually going to be like today? Or tell me more about the day, like in the storms. And the AI will be way better at predicting it than the super hot weather babe on your local news channel.
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. You know,
So, yeah, go on. I mean, I don't have a problem with weather babes. I don't. It's a term coined by Rush Limbaugh. He liked weather babes too. He just said that they can't tell you the weather. They're just babes that are on the weather segment in every city across the nation that has a news station.
well, I got to tell you, if you really want accurate weather with a babe, you got to go to Telemundo because they've got some serious weather chicks there, man.
Have you seen on that? Have you seen it? I think it was a YouTube channel. It's been around probably 10 years, but Naked News.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right, where the ladies just get into a state of undress as they
Yep.
read the headlines off a teleprompter. You know what?
Yep.
Whoever thought that up, with it's probably not as popular as it used to be, but whoever thought that up probably made a couple of bucks off of
Oh
that
yeah,
channel.
definitely. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good times. We got to talk about. We got to get into this, and I've got a clip. I've got two clips today, but I've got a clip. The audio is awful, but I'm going to play the clip if it works anyway, so you can see the reaction of the South African president when Donald Trump calls him out for racism leading to genocide in his country,
Yeah.
and says,
Yep.
"I'm not going to." Yeah, your country's going to be done if you don't stop this. And he's like, "Oh, it never happened." And Donald Trump says, "Okay, dim the lights and watch the TV over there, sir." Incredible. So let's see if we can get that to play.
Turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
And you got to look at the South African president's face while this is happening. I know the audio is terrible. Just watch his face.
From the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. Can we drop my membership from this useless parliament?
I'm not seeing anything, Sean.
Oh, that's weird. I got it on my screen.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, I just got you and me.
Because the killing is part of the
Can you hear any of the audio?
Negative.
All right, so I'll stop the video. We'll see, and obviously we'll test it. We got another clip for later. We'll figure this out. We'll figure out the tech. It'll be fine. But so if you're looking at the South African's president, his face, he wanted to come to the White House. He was asking for continualized funding
Yep.
for his country because America funds every country except for 4 directly. We've already gone over this. So
Yep.
Iran, North
100. Yep.
Korea,
Yep.
Russia. Yeah. Now, do we fund the other 4 countries indirectly? Yeah, State Department. So he's coming to kiss the ring and ask for continued funding. And Donald Trump says, hey, look, you have a problem with racism, and it's turning into an issue that's going to that is creating genocide of white Boers, white farmers. So the Boers, you could tie that back to late 1800s Germans who moved there for to open farms,
And
but
and
but
Austrian and Dutch.
and Dutch.
You know, the Dutch were the large purveyors in South Africa. They went down there and the uh, local farmers and stuff usually have a Dutch background. And the South African Constitution, they changed it to where they could have their not only their property, it wasn't just land. The constitutional amendment said literally, we could take your land, we could take your house, we could take the clothes off your back, we could take your vehicles, we could take everything without compensation or anything else, which is,
Wow.
you know, are you kidding me right now? Is it, is this 21st century globe? You guys are unbelievable.
I want to get into that, but real quick, because I just wanted to look. I went over to the Twitter live stream. So on the Twitter live stream, the video that I was trying to play that you couldn't hear or see went live. So we're gonna have to maybe I don't know. We're gonna have to work on this just from a technology standpoint. But it does look like we can bring up video clips so that we can talk about them. Now, when you were talking about what's going on in South Africa, right? You got to get into the point that all of them, all of the mainstream or lamestream media uh, that Rush Limbaugh pointed out to us years and years ago are all coming out against Donald Trump and saying there's no such thing happening. Only 1% of the actual genocide is white people. They're
That's
just
not true.
it's not true at all. And the theft of land, which is what you were talking about, we're taking it back. And the leaders, it might not be. I don't have any clips from the president of South Africa, but leaders in South Africa have been calling for a genocide for years because they're looking at reclaiming their land from the white invaders. And I gotta
Yeah.
say, well, when do you, how far back progressives who want everybody to resegregate and go back home, how far back do you need to go so that we can actually determine where you're from? 300 years? Is it 900 years? Is it
Yeah,
5,000 years?
right. So when I had my own company, I went to South Africa and we bought a company that makes armored vehicles. Right. That was part of my money making scheme was for the AFRICAP State Department program. You know, they wanted armored vehicles for uh, Sudan. They wanted armored vehicles for Niger and stuff like that. Well, you just, BAE was making the MRAP. It it's just not a
Mm-hmm.
good vehicle for Africa. So I went down to South Africa, set up a PMO there, and I bought into a company that makes Caspers. Uh, those are the white V bottom, you're really big vehicles. They were, as a matter of fact, 3 or 4 of mine were in the movie uh, that they made about South Africa, and it was a space thing. You know what I mean. It
Oh,
was
sure.
yeah, and so I bought into that company because we could make an up armored vehicle with a 1970s era diesel Mercedes Benz engine, no uh super electronics. We're talking, Sean, red wire and a black wire. You know what I
Sure.
mean? And they
Yeah, yeah.
were they were really popular because in Niger and Sudan and Somalia and Tanzania, they could work on them. They were just really, really a basic vehicle, but they had this they were V bottom, so they had this mine resistant, kind of thing about them. And I really had some success. I sold quite a few to the State Department for some of these vehicles. So then I forget which administration it was, but they said, we've got to have this Buy American clause.
Yup. I want to go with George W. Bush, I believe.
I think it was G.W. Bush. And so we opened a company in Charlotte, North Carolina. We still built them in our factory in South Africa, but we had a company in North Carolina. Dude, it cost us $3 million to stand that up, but we were able to beat the Buy American clause because we had that company there, and then uh, so our vehicles were all commercial off the shelf. We really had Chrysler parts, We had some Ford parts. We had some General Motors parts, the axles and that. So we met the 51% American made, even though we built and assembled them all in Pretoria
Right.
and were able to sell them. And you know,
Dude, can you believe
I,
Buy America's up to 70% now? Like the tricks, the juggles that people have to go through to sell rolling stock to the government. It's the same thing you're talking about, but now they want it at 70%. And when you're talking about microchips being the biggest part of rolling stock in this point, rolling stock could be, for those that you don't understand the term, it could be anything from a car to a train. It's something that rolls,
right.
is rolling
Yeah.
stock, right?
Yeah.
70%.
But,
It's
but,
retarded.
and, and, and this is the oxymoron about that, right? So in 2009, we won a contract for straight up, 750,000 pound flatbed trucks, right? And so we bought a bunch of MAN, man, which is a big producer in Europe. We bought a bunch of those trucks, right? They were cab over with a flatbed on the
Yeah,
back.
body on chassis.
Yeah, body on chassis. And we did training in the Sudan. And I remember clearly going down there. We were so proud that we had won the contract. And so the SPLA, which was the Southern Sudan, military at the time, sent their best and their brightest. And so we're not even talking about, level 4 maintenance. We're talking about level 1 oil change, level 2 changing the spark plugs, that kind of thing. Just really basic stuff. And
No
so
coil
I
packs. It was
invited,
carbureted. It was a simple
right.
carbureted motor. No coil packs. No nothing.
Yeah. So I was so proud. I invited the State Department to send their contracting officers out, and we were going to do a demonstration. So on our first day, we had 4 of these trucks out there, and the Sudanese had sent the best and the brightest of the SPLA military. And I'm like, okay, fellas, we want to familiarize ourselves with the vehicle. Let's just walk around them, look at them, climb up in the cab, get familiarized with the gauges and all that kind of stuff. And I noticed nobody was going inside the trucks. And so I went to the SPLA captain and I said, "Hey, we y'all need to open the doors and, climb up in there." And so, Sean, they didn't know what a door handle was. They did
Wow.
not know what, I'm like, at that time on the inside, on the outside, I'm like, I'm so glad I won this contract. But on the inside, I'm like, oh my God, we are 3 generations away from training these people to drive these trucks.
Wow.
And when we finally got the training done, which was 36 months later, uh, I came home, and about a year or two later, I went back on a different program, and every I'm not even making this up, dude. Everywhere they had turned the steering wheel too hard and flipped the truck over, or it had a flat tire, or it, wouldn't start. There were two or three families living in it. They were condos. They were condos. They had no idea,
So this is
and they
South
just
Sudan.
lived inside of them.
This is South Sudan. Specifically, I guess we were looking at the country of South Africa. It's also a continent. Well, at least Africa is, but a lot of people will conflate the two. I don't know that South Africa, the country, is a whole lot different than that. And it's not me being racist, but if you look at who produces the food, who produces the economic wealth, who is job employers, it's
Right.
the exact same people who the government wants to eliminate from Earth. And they're saying they want to eliminate them from Earth because they're going back to. Look, you could say 1800s Boers, you could say 1600 British, but that's basically they're like, we don't like white people. Screw you for coming here and bringing
Yep.
us things like food and medicine. Screw you. You should all
Yep.
die or leave. We want you to leave. If you don't leave, you're
Yeah.
probably gonna
So,
die.
so a local South African gets 25, 30 people together, and they go out and they raid 1,000 acre ranch, right? I mean, these guys are growing crops, they're raising cattle, they're doing all the, they go out and they take it from them and they either kill them or run them off.
Yeah.
Well, then that 1,000 acre ranch becomes useless because the people that ran them off have no idea what the hell to do to raise crops and anything. It's just, you talk about cut off your nose to spite your face. It's the epitome of that. It's just unbelievable.
So, I mean, other than just being outright racist, what do they think they're going to accomplish by removing white people from their country?
Yeah, yeah, that's
I
exactly
don't.
what it is. Yeah, they feel like uh, the Dutch and the Austrians are occupiers, and they want to revert it back to where it was before the occupiers. But all of the local guys don't have any idea how to grow crops, how to be a rancher, how to manage herds of cattle. They don't know how to grow corn. They just don't know. So they take them over and these things just wither and die.
Right.
But by
So,
God, we ran the Boers off.
so is that. Let's look at this. Does that have to do with that they never bothered to learn? Is this something cultural that they don't care to learn? And their government, their local news tells them to hate the Boers. Like, why is, or is it just straight out racism at this point that the
It's just
South
straight
Africa?
out racism. And the other thing they don't understand, Sean, is these white ranchers employed local blacks.
Sure.
It wasn't like this guy had 1,000 acres and he had 800 white guys working the ranch. He employed local people that contributed to the economy, that gave these guys uh, housing and a roof over their head and all that kind of stuff. and it defies logic.
Well,
It
and
just
it's also that
defies
it's
logic.
not. They were employing people not through 16 and 1700 style slavery. This was free and open market.
No, free and open market. So here's a guy's got 1,000 acre ranch. He's like 4 miles outside of a village that has, let's say, 8,000 people, right?
Sure.
And so he goes out there. He goes, "Hey, I need, site supervisor. I need somebody that knows how to run tractors and, that kind of thing." And they even, on top of that, provided training to those that did not know how to do it. So the reason they kept their costs down was they used local employees and they trained them themselves. And that, I I equate it to the citrus mafia in Florida, right? So the Florida citrus industry is run by 5 white guys. The other 100,000 are agricultural Mexicans.
Right.
Period. Right? And so the guy that owns the Florida Natural Orange Juice brand, he hires a Hispanic guy, gives him his home in the field, right? So he's right in the grove, gives him a vehicle, pays him a good wage, and he's like, "Dude, you're my site manager. You're the
Sure.
guy that's making sure our oranges are good to go." And this guy has the autonomy to order up, those jet heaters. He
Oh
can
yeah.
order up even helicopters that come and, rotor wash the trees when it's 12 degrees outside. And
Yep.
I mean, the guy's got some power, but he
Well,
pays him 80 grand a year.
Yeah, but like, so a lot of people will say, "Well, it's racist. You're employing Hispanics to do this," and I would say, "Well, but is it any more racist than employing a bunch of white people in Texas oil fields to live in trailers with four roommates and work 12 hours a day working rigs?" Or we stick them out in the Gulf of America, and they have to be there for 12 weeks at a time before they can go home and see their kids.
Right. And I got to tell you, up to 30% of those are Hispanic.
Sure.
And
Like,
none of them are illegal because the oil companies don't tolerate that bullshit. You've
they're
got to
not gonna
have all
play.
your shit, right?
They're not gonna play with it.
Right. And so yeah, that's how they do things there. Hell yeah.
So listen, like when you get into the Boer issue in South Africa, though, I'm gonna just call it what it is. It's straight out racism leading
100%.
to a genocide. And when I
Yep.
saw Donald Trump, here's what people don't get about Trump's second administration. He did these things like most presidents in his first administration in closed door meetings. He's not going to do that anymore. You want a
Right.
meeting with the Orange King, he is going to do it in front of the public media, and you're going to have to take whatever he does. What he did today, in my personal opinion, with the president of South Africa, was about the same level of Ronald Reagan standing in front of the wall and saying, "Mr. Gorbachev, take down this wall. And there is
Yep.
not a leader in the world that is ready to handle Donald Trump. Even though they're
That's
all
right.
asking for a meeting, they have
Yeah.
no idea because he's going to do it in public. He did it to Zelensky. He's done it to lots of different leaders. And he
Yep.
will continue to do it. If you want a meeting, we're going to do it live on TV, and your main news channels in your country are going to be in the room and they're going to cover it. That you're going to see me negotiate with you right in front of
Yeah.
the public.
Right in
It's
front
never
of the
been done.
public.
It's never been done.
And you know what? As it should be.
It should be.
It's never been done before in the history of politics. And he didn't do it in his first term, but he's doing it in this term. And he calls them out.
Yeah.
You know, the South African guy, dude, I have never ever seen a black, that guy's gun barrel black. That's the blackest dude I've ever seen. The president, you know, or prime minister of South Africa,
Sure.
you know, in that meeting. And he's like, dude, we want to do trade with you and we want to do this kind of stuff, but you got to knock that bullshit off, boy.
He
You,
actually
you
said,
just got to
like,
knock
before,
that bullshit off.
this was the most incredible moment. He called him out, the president of South Africa. He called him out and said, "Hey, you got this problem going on." And the president of South Africa goes, "No, no, 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 we don't." And then he goes, "Dim the lights, dim the lights, play it on the TV." Whoever, or whatever,
Yeah,
whoever he was calling out,
yeah.
Jeff, put it on now, and played a 4-minute video of his government calling for genocide of white farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And they think, like, even still after that, he was like, "Oh, it's a small minority." And Trump was like, "No, it's not.
No,
It's your
not.
government.
Yeah,
It's your
yeah,
government. Your entire government is all there holding
yeah.
rallies to kill
Right.
the white farmers."
So if you wanna suck on the American teat, you're gonna have to do something about that, bro.
That's what he
Because
said.
that's not how we roll.
And all those used to be private conversations, and Trump's like, "Nope, I am tired of the
Yeah, we're not doing the
propaganda
behind the
media
door.
coming
Right.
up with their own stories. So I'm just gonna do these meetings publicly. You're all welcome to come."
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's ever seen a president do this. The world is not ready for Trump to. Just not. They're not.
But I guarantee you, the ones that have recognized that, they have lined up at the door and said, bruh, we want to make a deal. Because just like Rubio said, if you're not one of the first 15, you're going to be in the last 15 and you're
Right?
not going to like it, you know?
Oh,
And
oh my God.
so, I mean, you've got these obscure places that really are inconsequential, you know, like Malta. Malta's like, no, 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 let's make a deal. I'll make a deal with you right now, you know, and that kind of
Well,
thing.
didn't East Timor say they would start taking asylees?
Yes.
Why the hell would East Timor? Oh, I know why East Timor would. Because they want to play the game. They
Yeah.
know Trump's in charge, and they're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll take it. If you can't send them to someplace like El Salvador, we'll take them."
Yep. We'll take them. Their number one export is coffee. Timor is one of those coffee rich, like Colombia, and you know they're just one of those coffee rich countries, and they want to have good trade with America. So they're like, oh yeah, oh we have detention facilities that you'll just love.
No shit, right? you're seeing more and more of this, and everyone, the left is just losing their mind. Of course, they want to do these deals. Absolutely, they want to do these deals. They've never, and they've known for the last 4 years they could get away with anything because we didn't have a president. So,
Yeah.
like, they just ran amok, and now all of a sudden they're like, "Uh-oh, Orange King's back. We got to play ball." And
We got to play ball.
I'm going to tell you, I really think that conversation he had in the Oval Office today was almost as important as Ronald Reagan coming up and saying, "Hey, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." And I'm being honest about that because of the way he did it. When the South African president said, that's not happening, he goes, "Dim the lights, play the video," which is what we played a portion of that earlier on the show. I don't.
Like with Panama, he kept talking, and everybody's like, that he's full of shit. That's not going to happen. All that kind of stuff. And then he finally said, "We're going to send troops down there and we'll take it. We'll just take it back." And Panama said, "Oh, hold on a minute. We found this little piece in our Constitution that says we can work with you. So, okay, don't send troops. We'll take care of it. We'll get rid of the Chinese." Yeah.
I absolutely. So I'm going to pivot. I think, look, what people don't understand about Trump is, especially in term 2, he's got nothing to lose. And I believe, even though he's a 1990s Democrat, he loves America and he plans on keeping America first, which is what he's always campaigned on, the MAGA movement. I hope you can hear this one. I want to go back to 2016. I'm going to play this video. If you aren't able to hear or see it, I will explain it to you. But this is Scott Adams. So, Scott Adams, lots to talk about there with a cancer diagnosis that he's known about for a long time. That it happens to be the same cancer diagnosis as Joseph Robinette Biden. But I want to play this. So this is 2016. He's on Bill Maher, and he's talking about how Trump brands things and how successful Trump has been at branding things. So let me play this video real quick.
We see this. He never, ever says the word Hillary now without crooked before. Crooked Hillary. Crazy Bernie. I mean, this is like 6th grade level stuff, but that's the level.
Wrong. No, so wrong. That is the best persuasion you'll ever see. When I heard low energy, I called...
Low energy, right.
Yeah, I called the end of that day. Dude. Because that is a sticky insult. So these are not random insults.
I'm not saying they're random. I'm not saying they don't work. I'm just saying he brands people. Well, low energy, crazy, crooked.
No, but there's something else to it. He's working on confirmation bias. When you see anything come out in the news that looks like maybe Hillary Clinton did something a little bit suspicious, you say, crooked Hillary. So he's setting these up so that you're reminded of them.
It really comes in. Yeah, I mean, it looked great this week when that report came out. It fed right into the narrative.
Right, and Lion Ted, same thing.
Right.
He's a politician. He's going to say something.
Right.
Somebody's going to call
I got nothing, Sean.
And when they do, the nickname just pops in.
I remember when he called Dr. Ben Carson the sheriff of nodding off. And then...
And by the way, he A/B tests this just like software people do. So he says these nicknames in front of people, he sees the reaction, and then he uses them. The brilliant thing he did recently was he came up with a second one for Clinton. He said, well, is she heartless? Is it heartless Hillary? Or is it crooked Hillary? And he actually made people debate whether she was more heartless or more crooked. And that's all intentional. This is all technique. It's called.
And she's conversely so bad at it. I mean, I used to say her
Something
slogan,
almost
"Ready
came
for
up.
Hillary," was for me a perfect slogan because it described exactly how I felt. Are you ready for Hillary? Yes, I'm ready. It was like getting a shot. Am I excited? No, just I'm ready for Hillary. Just
All right, so we'll put it back. So basically, Paul, this was Scott Adams in 2016 on Bill Maher, and he was explaining the genius of Trump branding. He's explaining the genius when he would come out in rallies and go, "Should it be Crooked Hillary? Should it be this Hillary?" And yeah, like let me know which one, Crooked Hillary. And the crowd would erupt. He'd go, okay, it's Crooked Hillary. And then he would continue to do that with other people. And he used the audience participation to brand people because he's a brand guy. I mean, there's
Right.
a Trump National Golf Course not far from me. I don't know, 10 miles, 15 miles. It's the brand. It's the brand. It's the Trump brand. But he is also capable of doing this with other people, and he's been super successful. Little Marco Rubio's now in his cabinet, but he called him Little Marco in the 2016 primary when Marco Rubio was running against him, and it was super effective, and that's what Bill Maher was trying to understand what Scott Adams was saying. Is he's like, this is stupid. Trump's retarded. And Scott Adams is saying, no, it's genius of the
No.
level you can't possibly understand, because every
Yeah.
time a news story comes out that about Hillary Clinton, you immediately think corrupt Hillary, right? And Scott Adams, for the most part, has nailed everything for the last 10 years politically in his observations. So, I don't know how much any of you follow him, but Scott Adams, obviously the Dilbert guy, right? He got fired. The controversy that he got fired for was this conversation came up about blacks being violent against whites. All right, we could talk about South Africa now. This is where this all correlates, roughly.
Right.
But Scott Adams said, hey, well, maybe you shouldn't live by them. And he got fired from the newspaper. He got fired from. He's continued to do Dilbert, but he got fired from the newspaper, which was his job. They're like, you're a racist, Scott. And so for the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, he's just had an online presence. He does a podcast every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And he just talks. It's a really good podcast. He just talks about what's going on for the day. He still does Dilbert. And he does it online. That's a subscription. I think he charges like $3 a month, and you can get the subscription. It's up to you. But he came out and said, I have the same diagnosis as Joseph Robinette Biden, right, which is prostate cancer that's metastasized to my bones. I expect to be dead by the summer. And he goes, there's no way Joe Biden just got diagnosed with this. No way in
Right.
hell. I've known for years that I've had this. And
Oh
with
yeah.
Joe Biden having the best doctors in the world, better than anything I can afford, I'm calling bullshit that nobody
Yeah.
knew. He probably was already sick before he ran for president.
Yeah.
And I don't see Scott Adams being wrong on this. I would say that it's likely, and we've talked about this when we were on Spaces. Joe Biden was likely sick before he ran for president in 19 and
Yeah,
20.
I don't think there's any question about that. And I've told you this story before. Uh, One of my gunslinger friends, I went to Timor, he went to Afghanistan, and he called me in the middle of the night one time and he said, "Hey, I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer. They're gonna at Frankfurt, Germany, for some kind of thing, but I don't know what I'm gonna do." And my contract was coming up to an end, and I said, "Dude, you're gonna come to Texas. You're gonna stay with us. We've got the
Hmm.
best cancer people in the world in Texas, Baylor, Scott, and White." And him and his wife lived with me and Tanya for a year and a half while he went through chemo and surgeries and all that kind of stuff. But, and he came out on top. But, dude, it was a long road. It wasn't, you don't get, you don't get a Gleason 9 rating on your prostate cancer without knowing something before that.
Right.
You just don't.
I don't. Yeah. Like, the media is gonna have to work through the fact that they all lied to everybody, and they've been trying. They've been trying. It's not working, right? I don't. I guess the question is, when do people stop watching their television or stop logging into Facebook? Because you and I, have been talking about this for 3 years. And we've just been noticing.
So, so I gotta tell you, just between Paul and Sean on this podcast, I, my view is, who gives a shit? I don't, I am not interested in outing some staffers that, I'm not interested in outing Jill. I just, I don't care about that shit, dude. I, I feel for President Biden. I think if he makes it to Christmas, it'll probably be a miracle.
Yep.
But I don't care. I don't want my government to spend time, material, and and people to find out who was lying about it. At this point, I just don't give a shit, man. I don't give a shit. I don't care if Chuck Schumer knew and he didn't know, and now we're going to have this investigation. All these investigations are two, three, $5 billion a piece. I don't care. It just doesn't matter. It's past.
We're
We've
not even
already
going to
passed
get an
that.
investigation. We're going to get a congressional hearing. These are the most retarded things on the planet because nothing happens out of it except for sound bites for Congress people's TikTok accounts. Right. So, yeah, unless you're actually going to, the Department of Justice is going to look at the people who covered it up for elder abuse, which is never going to happen, then I'm with you, Paul. This is stupid, and people are wasting their time. And you can tweet away all you want. Nobody's.
It's
No,
just it my other view on this is we're conservatives, and conservatives are absolutely focused on making America the best America it can be. The Democrats or the liberals want to point fingers and, put somebody in jail and all that kind of stuff. I don't think we need to be those people. I don't give a shit, dude. The guy's 6. He's terminal. I feel bad for him, but I don't care that Schumer knew and Pelosi knew and that,
Schumer
and
and Pelosi are
Jake Tapper
probably
knew and Jake Tapper lied about it. I don't give
yeah.
a shit
All
about
right,
that, dude.
yeah, all right. My thing with Jay Tapper, thank you for bringing that up. I don't think anybody should buy his book, and he shouldn't make any money off this because he knew the whole time. And now he's claiming he didn't know, and so he went and wrote a book about it. Like that. That's just scummy, super scummy.
Uh,
Jake Tapper should be absolutely ignored by everybody.
by everybody. Yeah, and Megyn Kelly really took him to the mat. I mean, really did.
He
She
did.
didn't let up on him. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is okay, Biden had, you know, in all likelihood, had prostate cancer the entire time he was president.
Looks like 2014.
So fucking what? They didn't do a PSA. Now they're looking at the president's uh, doctor who didn't do a PSA or they didn't record it
Well,
or
but if they
I don't
stop
give a
doing
shit, dude.
well,
I
but
don't give a shit.
no, I get you don't give a shit, but I've got here's where I came to while I'm watching all this stuff. Is there a chance that they stopped doing a PSA in 2014 because he already had the diagnosis and he was at an age where they're like, well, all right, we're gonna just treat it and make you comfortable because we haven't come to a point where it's curable. And so that's why I think when you look, and they're gonna go, we just there's all kinds of bullshit out there. It was too expensive. It's not too expensive to test a president for anything. GFY. Is it because maybe he was diagnosed in 2014 when he was still vice president? And you just look at that and go, okay, no, here's like, I get what you're saying. Just move on. The old man's sick, but I gotta ask when we look at this. When I believe that there was a coup run to get rid of Donald Trump. Speaking of, by electing Joseph Biden, I believe that the party knew all along, but that they had to run a coup to put him in, knowing that he was sick, knowing that he had terminal cancer that was going to take, it's prostate cancer, it's going to take 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. And but we're gonna do it anyways because we don't have any other choice. But we have to defeat Orange Man bad, and I think that's what a lot of people are actually upset about. Paul is that you wouldn't normally see this pre Joe Biden in politics where they would intentionally run a man who was incapable, incompetent of running the office, but they forced him through anyways because it was their only chance to remove Donald Trump from his first term, hoping that it would remove him from politics altogether.
Okay. No, I'll give you that. No. I'll give you that. That makes sense. But I just gotta say, just leave the dude alone. It has nothing to do with making America great again. We've got so many other irons in the fire. I don't want to see DOJ put any kind of effort or money towards, you know, Susan Rice knew this. We're getting her. I don't care about that shit, dude. I care about the economy turning around. I care about the border being secure. I care about uh, no boys playing in women's sports. That's what I care about. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on, well, you knew this and you didn't say nothing, so you're evil. So fucking what, dude? You're a piece of shit. And everybody knew you were a piece of shit before all this happened. Jake
Woodrow
Tapper's a
Wilson.
piece of shit.
Woodrow.
Everybody knew Jake Tapper was a piece of shit. What's that, Morning Joe? Morning
Morning
Joe's a
Joe.
piece of shit.
Scarborough.
Lion ass. Oh, he's a lion ass cocksucker.
Yep.
Nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares. And
Well,
and you're gonna try to, you know, come, come back and justify your outlook. I don't give a shit because we knew you were a lying piece of shit when you first came on stage.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I'm going to go even further and say, hey, listen, Joe Biden, and look, this is a dig on Joe Biden, took the playbook straight from Edith Galt Wilson. So Woodrow Wilson, again, in my top 5 of worst presidents ever, because his wife took over the presidency. He had a stroke about 18 months out from being the president, and his wife refused to leave the office. She was going to stay in 1600 Pennsylvania whatsoever, didn't give a crap. And so she shut down access to the president, who we
Right.
find out later was bedridden from a stroke, never really recovered mentally from the stroke or even physically. Jill Biden did the same thing as Edith Galt Wilson. Are they terrible human beings? Yeah. But you know what? They're going to get judged by God when they pass.
Right.
We're gonna move forward. I hate to say move forward because that's what the Democrats are saying. We're gonna continue doing the thing. We're gonna get the tax cuts. Next time we do a space, we gotta argue about no tax on tips being a picking winners and losers as opposed
I'm ready.
to eliminating the 16th Amendment, which created the federal income tax, which would be far better for everyone in America than that. But yeah, it's a preview of what I want to talk about next. Edith Galt Wilson, Joe Biden, the same person, 70 years apart. They are. They're the same evil people, same evil women.
Yep, 100%.
We hit the time. Let's go. Let's close it out.
All right, brother. This was fun.
I had a good time. This might be our best one yet.
I think it's up there.
It's in the top 5.
Yeah, and I'm not slurring my words.
So good night, everybody.
All right, bro. See ya.